Namanawagan siya sa lahat ng head of
The past 2 weeks, Filipinos rallied, pleaded, and prayed, all hoping for a stay of execution of Flor Contemplacion. She was a domestic helper working in Singapore.
Balitang-balita ang pagkamatay ni Leo Bagason, isang Pilipinong overseas contract worker na 10 taon nang nagtatrabaho bilang mayordomo sa pamilyang Caltagirone sa Roma.
2 crimes, 9 years apart.
Naniniwala ko kami na yung nangyari sa kanya isang frame up lamang at talagang siya walang kasalanan.
A long and continuing struggle for thousands of suffering Filipinos abroad.
Namatay siya, hindi siya namatay. Ang gusto kong mangyari ngayon, bigyan ng hustisya at magkaroon ng hustisya ang pagkamatay ng kapatid ko.
On May 4, 1991, Delia Maga and her 4-year-old ward Nicholas Huang were killed. Flor Contemplacion was the prime suspect.
Search for Flor Contemplacion online and the results point to a controversial execution of a Filipina domestic helper. 42-year-old Flor Contemplacion was a washerwoman who went to Singapore in 1988. 3 years later, she was convicted for double murder of another Filipina domestic helper, Delia Maga, and Delia's 4-year-old ward, Nicholas. Delia was found dead with an elastic cord around her neck, while Nicholas was found inside the bathroom, his head in a pail of water. Delia's diary had Flor's name and address, so Flor was taken by investigators to a police station. That night, Flor confessed to the crime. According to her confession, Flor visited Delia to ask her to take some items back to the Philippines, but Delia refused. In a fit of rage, Flor killed Delia and drowned Nicholas in a pail of water. Trouble is, Flor might have been under duress.
Flor Contemplacion was made to admit to a crime which did not commit, and she was made to put up a defense of insanity when in fact she is not insane.
Therese Yuvienko is the executive director of the Public Interest Law Center. She says there was a possible miscarriage of justice in Flor's case.
She belongs to a poor family. She is hardly literate. She came to a foreign land and she was unfamiliar with her rights as an accused. Neither is she aware of the avenues for redress or relief available to her as a migrant worker in that country. So she was made to depend on those who were offering their services.
After her confession, Flor was detained to await her trial. She was detained for 4 years, and in that time, the Philippine government visited Flor 9 times.
For the period ng 4 na taon na siya ay nakakulong at 2 taon na siya ay nasa death row, walang legal assistance na natanggap ang pamilya ni Flor Contemplacion at si Flor. So napakahuli na lamang nalaman ng ating mga kababayan na bibitayin na pala si Flor.
We were there the whole time. The whole 2 years that there was investigation looking into her case.
Consul Pedro Chan is the special assistant to the Undersecretary of the Department of Foreign Affairs. He says Flor admitted to the twin killings from the very start.
So she was advised not to say anything to the police, or she can still change whatever statement she may have. And according to our Consul General, she did not deny participation in the killing.
3 years and 10 months after confessing to the crime, the Singapore government made a decision. She would be hanged in 3 days. Protests soon erupted across the Philippines, and Flor became the symbol of injustices faced by thousands of Filipino overseas workers. Back in Singapore, Flor's jailmate Virginia Parumog came forward with new information. She claimed that Flor was drugged before her hearings.
According to our witness, the effect was that she remained silent. and she would stare blankly. That's why in our records, in our court records, when she was made to comment on the charges of murder, she simply remained silent. That was the effect of the drug.
After Virginia's public statement, President Fidel Ramos appealed to the Singapore government for clemency.
Contemplacion has indeed been the victim of injustice from another country. Despite the highly charged emotions surrounding this case, not one Singaporean has been harmed in the Philippines. And we strongly urge the Singaporean government to accord the same protection to our nationals and properties in Singapore.
But all these efforts were in vain.
We are going to pursue justice for Flor Contemplacion.
Napakahalaga ang kaso ni Flor sa kasaysayan ng pakikipaglaban ng mga OFWs, mga migranteng Pilipino para sa kanilang karapatan dahil doon talaga nailantad globally at saka nationwide yung vulnerability ng pagsasamantala ng ating mga kababayan sa labas ng bansa.
Mga tao ko, gusto kumari linggo wala tayong trabaho. Kanya ano bang diferensya sa linggo at saka sa lunes? Ayaw lang tayo magawa dahil yun ang order nila eh. Ikaw, mahirap naman kung sumuhay ka.
Kuripot to yung amo niya. Ang gusto daw ipakain sa kanya yung tira nila ng kain. Minsan iniipuan po siya sa buhok.
Mahirap ang batas nila doon eh. Kasi pag magsumbong ka sa pulis, tatawagan muna nila yung amo mo bago ka ihatid sa embassy.
Hindi naman kaila na mas marami siguro ang opening na trabaho doon kesa dito sa atin.
Hindi ako nagreklamo kasi kailangan. Kung dito babalik ako, hindi ako masisweldohan ng $1,500 a month.
That same year, the Philippine Congress immediately established a law to promote the welfare of overseas workers. The Magna Carta for migrant workers and overseas Filipinos promises to provide legal, medical, and adequate counseling for abused OFWs. But 9 years later, another crime proved the law had no teeth. In 2000, Leo Bagason was found dead in a hotel in Slovenia with a gunshot wound to his chest. Leo had been working as a mayordomo to a highly influential Italian family. Police reports said Leo attempted to kidnap his boss's wife and her bodyguard. When Leo knew he was about to be caught, he shot himself.
Balot na balot sa misteryo ang pagkamatay ni Leo. Nang binuksan ang kaso ni Leo, sumingaw ang maraming ng argumento. Ayon sa mga Pilipino rito, bakit walang anumang dungis ng dugo o putik ang mga damit at sapatos ni Leo nang isauli ng mga pulis ang bangkay sa pamilyang niya mula sa Slovenia? Tila nalinis na kahit ang hotel room kung saan natagpuan ang bangkay ni Leo ay walang bahid ng nangyaring krimen.
Napakamahiwaga po upang sabihin agad na siya ay nagpakamatay. At ang ngayon, isang malaking bagay, bakit isinara agad ang kaso? Bakit ang Procuratory de Roma ay pumayag kaagad na sa loob ng 3-4 na araw lamang ay tapusin na ang kaso? Ayon sa batas daw dito sa Italia, for any case, the short process is 1 month.
Just like Filipinos in Singapore, migrant Filipinos in Italy were disappointed by the government's inaction.
Lahat ng mga Pilipino dito sa Roma, Italia, kami nananawagan sa ating gobyerno na sana mabigyan ng pansin itong kaso ni Leo Bagason at mabigyan ng hustisya.
Hindi lang si Leo actually ang nawala ng justice dito. Kami lahat Pilipino.
Nagulat ba kayo nung nabalitaan niyo to?
Nagulat kami dahil nga sa napakabait nga, kilala namin taong ito sa tahimik at walang bisyo, hindi miinom, gano'n. Wala sa barkada, di mo makita nagsusuga.
Ang mismong mga OFWs, mga migranteng Pilipino, ang nag-aabot ng assistance. Nasa Filipino community, nasa family ng OFWs, ang instrumental element kung bakit na nagkakaroon ng hustisya ang mga kasos ng ating mga OFWs.
Unlike Flor, there was hardly any news of Leo's death back in the Philippines. And those few who rallied for justice never got the help they needed. Today, there are more than 2 million overseas Filipino workers across the globe, glorified as heroes for their sacrifice. But Flor and Leo's stories show us that OFWs deserve more protection, even before they leave home.
Kahit na dumarami ang mga kaso ng mga pang-aabuso sa labas ng bansa, hanggang hindi ma-resolve ang ugat ng kahirapan dito sa Pilipinas, marami pa rin ang aalis ng bansa.